Good morning, ZV homesteaders. I'm going to show you around my garden today. This is the fall garden update for September of 2020. Here's the garden. Now, I have a couple of tomato trellises that are put up for the spring. And I've still got some to do back there along the back wall and behind the beds. There's some brush I have to clear back there. Now, last we left off, I had a little 4x4 bed started. After I did the wood at the bottom, I did grass clippings, which is exactly what this is. It's just grass clippings. So the grass clippings, once they dry out, they basically turn to straw, or a straw-like material, and they're very good for mulching. And then after I put grass clippings in, I put a layer of manure, about a wheelbarrow full per bed. And then we put a little bit more mulch on top of the manure, but things are growing very well in the manure. The wonderful thing about garden beds is that you can control everything that goes into your bed, and you can really control the temperament of the soil. Okay, so this is bed 1, and this is the small cattle panel section. And it is one that we're reusing, so there is a little blemish at the bottom. But so this small cattle panel can be used for peas in the springtime. Now let me tell you about the trellises. Now these trellises are just 16-foot cattle panels, and I've got 3 of them. I made 2 of them into archways and cut one of them in half to make these tomato trellises. The tomato trellises are 8 foot long each and will give me room to plant 6 tomatoes 14 inches apart, and it gives me a vertical gardening space. So these are my archways, and on the archways here I'm going to plant cucumbers, pole beans, and vining squash. The vertical gardening should help with the pests, along with some companion planting. Now, what I mean by companion planting, I'm going to be planting herbs and certain flowers to help ward away some of the pests. I said in an earlier video that I didn't like flowers. There are certain flowers that are really good for your garden because they will help with pests. So I take it back. I am going to be growing some flowers, and they're going to be for pest control. They're very handy for that. Also, herbs are very good for it. And what they do is they mask the smell of your plant and deter or confuse the pests. And that's the form of companion planting that I'm talking about. All right, so what is an indeterminate tomato? So there's 2 different types of tomatoes, and you can also apply this to beans. There's a determinate kind and an indeterminate kind. This is a determinate tomato. A determinate tomato gives 1 harvest and then it's done. Where an indeterminate tomato will keep on giving. So this one is a bush variety type determinate tomato. The San Marzano tomato that I have seeds for is one of 3 parents of the hybrid of the aroma tomato. The aroma tomato you can find in the grocery store is a small plum-like tomato that is very meaty in texture, and it's a kind of a paste tomato. So the paste tomatoes are more meaty in texture, they have fewer seeds, and they have less gel in them, so they have more meat to them. So the Roma tomato has been my favorite tomato for salads and things and just eating, because I don't really like a lot of juice in my tomato. I really like tomatoes, but I'd rather have lower acidity, less juice, and more meat to the tomato. The San Marzano tomato is a heirloom tomato that is one of 3 parents to the Roma tomato. So it's going to be very similar. It is a paste tomato, and I'm very excited to be growing it next spring. Over here I had some pea plants. Pea plants do well in the spring and in the fall. This one's getting really tall and needs some support. So I'm kind of wrapping it around this really small trellis here. And then these guys are kind of grabbing on. Once they grab onto this trellis, they're going to climb up, and then I've got another trellis above that. So these pea plants should grow well into the fall. Our frost date isn't until November 10th or so. So we've got September and October. We've got 60 days for them to fully grow and mature. Okay, so the blueberry bushes, I've got 3 of this variety, and I've got them in the size pot that's recommended with peat moss, and I've covered the mulch with a pine needle mulch. Now this particular plant here, I believe this is a squash plant. I'm hoping it is. And there's some eggs. Something has laid eggs there, and I have got to figure out what those are. In this bed, I have an okra plant growing. Now okra is a hot weather plant. I don't know how well. Actually, there are 2 of them growing. And there's a weed, and I'll pull it now. But okra is a hot weather plant, and it's probably not going to do well in the fall, but it's very prolific, which means that it will give you lots and lots of fruit. I don't expect to get a lot off of it, maybe 1 or 2 harvests, but I want to learn about how it grows, what it likes, and what pests are after it before I grow it again in the spring. This is corn that actually was part of the compost that I put underneath this soil, and it made its way. It was just the ends of the corn cobs that we cut off in order to make our corn, and I put them in the compost, and they're popping up. And this one, I believe, is a zucchini plant. I did sow some seeds, and I wasn't sure if they would make it. They were the seeds that were least likely to grow, and it looks like they are growing. So that's one zucchini plant, and I've got several more in another bed I'll show you. Now this is a clone. I took what's called a sucker out of the Y shape of the branches of the tomato. Sometimes they grow another branch in between. Looks like something's been eating this, and I'll have to treat it. But this sucker I planted in the ground. I didn't put it in water first or anything. I planted it in the ground. At first it struggled, and now it's doing great. I did have some carrots that I was growing in a pot, and I wanted to use the pot for my blueberry bushes, so I transplanted them over here, and they were very tiny. They have grown a lot since I transplanted. And I've got 5 more zucchini plants in here. The plants didn't do as well in the garden soil, because you can see these carrots are very small. They were planted at the same time as the other carrots, and these carrots are very large. So the garden soil did not do as well as the manure. So this is a Ford Hook chard, and it's sown in Kentucky in September. And this is a slow bolt cilantro, which I hear is a good fall crop. And I planted some in August, but I think I'm going to plant some more because I hear it's good for fall as well. So I'm going to, since my spinach is gone, I'm going to go ahead and plant some chard. This is an heirloom variety. I don't want to waste any of these seeds. I'm just going to plant just a few. Crazy looking seed. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope that you got something out of it today. I'll be sharing with you like I said, my successes and my failures and different things. So please subscribe and comment if you're interested in seeing more about my garden. I'll be also posting some more about the house repairs and that sort of thing. So I hope that you will subscribe and like my video if you like it. Thank you for watching, and have a good one. Bye.